Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith.
Yes, mate.
This is Paddock live. Are you okay, brother?
I've gone full tracksuit for this.
You're looking quite sporty spice tonight. What's
I
going
look
down?
like the sort of person that's got like 600 million in the bank and doesn't do any sports.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you watch around like Chelsea in London?
Yeah.
Everyone looks like this, but no one's ever played a game of sport in their life.
No, that's good. That's a very good analogy. Yes. You know who does do sports?
Who?
United. You know who's doing business?
Big sport business.
Big sport business.
Yeah.
Manchester United Football Club. Because this week we've been linked with loads of players, and unlike the usual stuff where it's like, oh, United are in for him, it might not get him. It looks like there's been a bit of movement and deals are going to happen. Get involved in the chat in the comments and let us know what you think about all of them, because we're going to be talking about Antony.
Yes.
Let's not forget about him. We're going to be talking about Frenkie de Jong, of course, what the latest is with him. We're going to be talking
There's
about
some breaking news on Frenkie de Jong, by the way, which we'll come to in just a second.
So we'll get in that. Reg Harris in the super chat already has just said, missing Love Island tonight, Jay. Those are the sacrifices I make for this channel.
Yeah.
But don't worry about it. We're also going to be talking about, Lisandro Martinez. We're going to be talking as well, about Tyrell Malacia, because it looks like that one's happening. And you're wondering why we've got Arteta on here. Well, as you can see, could be a bit of a
double gazump.
Double gazump. We've already gazumped Leon to get Tyrell Malacia in. Can we gazump Arsenal to get in Lisandro Martinez? Do you want to see him? Do you think that's going to happen? Let us know anything or everything, your opinions on all those stories as we go through them. Joe, what we're starting with?
We're going to start with Antony.
Antony.
The man that is so nice they only named him once.
Yeah.
Antony.
What's your favourite one-word name? While you're thinking of that, I'm going to read a super chat. Shay Delane says, is it too early for 21? He's coming up the Reds, up the effing Paddock. How many subs for Joe to shave his beautiful mane? Sorry, I'm ducking there just because the camera's in the way.
If we can get 700,000 by the end of the night, I'll shave my hair.
Right, okay. Well, Sam in the super chat says, hi, loves. The fact we are making moves on other players makes me feel like the club knows the De Jong deal is about to be finalised. Yes. You said Mussolini's your favourite single word. So you're not giving the Benito any props? Yeah?
No, I don't think he needs it.
Right, okay.
I think he could have lived without it.
Yeah, I think that was probably his downfall.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to footballing matters. Antony. We know, we know. Me and you've been talking about him for about 6 months, shall we say?
Ish.
Thereabouts. Yeah, when we were first linked with Ten Hag, not first linked, but when it looked like Ten Hag was going to be the front runner to get the job, the Antony rumours gained momentum.
Yes.
And now, as you can see here from the graphic, United are only willing to pay 40 million quid from him. Obviously, he's from Ajax. He knows Ten Hag. Ten Hag knows him. Yeah. He did very well for Ten Hag in his last season there. I think it was 8 goals and 4 assists, if memory serves, in the Eredivisie.
Yeah.
There you go. You see here. Yes, going 8 goals and clocking up 4 assists. I didn't even need to read it. No. For 23 appearances in the competition, the Mirror say United are willing to spend 40 million on Antony as they look to bolster their attacking options. However, Ajax have made it clear they want 70 million. That's from the Mirror. Great to see Andy taking a super chat as well. Yes, he says, God help Australia and Thailand because we will be there pre-season. Yeah. And we may have some decent content coming on there. But
some good stuff.
Yeah, don't you worry about that. Go on then. Talk me through this deal. Do you think it's going to be happening for 40 million? Are you happy with that? Would you go higher for him if we were to save some money on De Jong? Is he worth it?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know if he's worth it. He's the sort of player that, I'll be honest, I haven't seen 90 minutes of him in a full game. Do you know what I mean? I just haven't. Well, I've seen games in the Champions League where he's played and, but this was before, like you said, United were linked with him. I wasn't keeping a specific eye on exactly everything he does. I've looked at a lot of stats. I've looked at a lot of highlights. I've read a lot of, reports from Ajax fans and journalists and, the sorts of people that do tend to know about this sort of guy. And he looks very promising, but he doesn't look to me like someone that you should be ready to pay 60 or 80 million quid for. That seems a lot of money, especially when you consider what we're playing for Frenkie de Jong, which is in the region of 65 million quid, up to 70 with add-ons, or 55, up to 70 with add-ons. To be looking at the same sort of money for Antony, who is, much more unproven, only signed for Ajax 2 years ago for 14 million quid. Yeah. I think anything more than 60 million quid would be too much personally.
Calm, sorry, can you just bring that super chat up so I can see it's going to disappear?
But again, it just depends what Ajax want from him, because every player that Ajax have got is rumoured with a move away. They've already lost one full-back, they've already lost a central midfielder. Lisandro Martinez, who we'll get to in a little bit, looks like he's going to be going somewhere. Timber is still linked with a move away. Tagliafico, the other fullback, is linked with a move away. Antony is linked with a move away. Alez already left. Like, how many players are they going to have left? They need to put their price up because they don't need to sell any more players. Yeah. They've already made, I think, 60 million quid this transfer window in sales. Excuse me, they don't need that much more.
They do, you're right. But they do have this thing where sometimes they do lose a few players, don't they, in the window. They did it under 10 hours before, didn't they, where they lost quite a few. It's something that they've done, but you're right, you worry that now we're getting into the stage where, you're not going to maybe get the sort of bargains that you were getting a few weeks ago. Just another football fan who's been a member of the first team for 23 months.
Brilliant.
Says, Antony reminds me of Nani, a right winger with flicks, tricks, even flips, flair, with one name, Nani. Nani had the best showreel ever. People forget how frustrating Nani could be, but his showreel was fantastic. There's a link in the chat as well. Here, if you are watching, if you're not watching, I don't know why I say that because you won't know what I'm saying. Yeah. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get to 650,000 subscribers by the end of this video. We can do it. 1990 Luxy says, if United want Timber, Martinez and Antony, why not offer Axel as part of the deal, plus Palestre or Ahmed on loan to lower cost? Just on that, do you think there could be some movement now? Because we've got quite a few players who, we keep saying this thing with United and at Ten Hag, clean slate. You can't give them all a clean slate. No. You can't assess all of them and go, well, give him a few games, give him a few games. There's not enough games to go around. Some of them he's just going to go, right, he's not quite there yet. Maybe it's Ahmad, maybe it's someone like, I don't know, maybe Brandon Williams has another loan or is a permanent deal, whatever. There's rumours of that in there. Do you think there could be some sort of swap deal? We don't see him very often, do we? But do you think there could be on the horizon?
I don't know. I don't know if I can remember a time when someone reduced the price of a full transfer by loaning someone in the opposite direction. Have you? I've never seen that.
No,
so
I don't.
I understand it. Like, obviously, Chelsea are getting a 10 million quid loan fee for Lukaku, so there is a sort of monetary value on a loan. So maybe in theory, but how much is Axel Tuanzebe on loan for a year worth to Ajax? Certainly not
maybe if I'm just saying, someone in the chat there saying maybe Axel. Maybe if you did a permanent deal, you said, okay, we value Axel at 20 million. You value Antony at 70. We'll give you, we're not going to give you 70, but we can give you close to 50. So here's Axel in 30.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we think that deal is worth 50 million, and Ajax might go, all right, then that's not too bad. But again, then you've got to convince Axel Tuanzebe to go and play in Ajax. He might not want to. Yeah. There's a lot of ifs and buts and maybes with any transfer deal with one player. When you throw in another player as well, who you're more or less forcing to go, usually against their will, it can be quite difficult, unless, of course, maybe, there's a player that isn't keen on it. But that's quite hopeful to think that they'd want him and he'd want to go. That's not very likely. Great to see Notch in the chat as well. I think he's in there. Yeah, loads of people. Let us know what you think about this Antony deal, because the priority has always been De Jong. Yeah. Then all of a sudden it became Malacia was like the new sort of, hot topic. Then it's Lisandro Martinez, and it almost feels like Antony's been pushed to the back burner a little bit. From reports, from what we gather, he's keen to come to Manchester United. The question is, can Manchester United get the deal done? Because 70 million quid, I'm not having it. You're not going to go out and get De Jong for what is a very reasonable price of around 55 million quid, and then go and buy Antony for 70. When, no disrespect, that's a good record. Yeah, it's not phenomenal.
That's not as good as Rafinha in the Premier League.
You've nailed it even better. I was going to say that's not as good as Memphis. No, Memphis was far superior to 8 goals and 4 assists. Yeah, and he was a disaster at United. Yeah. Anyway, enough of all that. We've got a quick catch up with our friends over at BetVictor and their last fan standing. No McCullough this time round, but let's have a listen to what they were saying, because it seems that with all this sort of shenanigans going on at White Hart Lane, is it still called White Hart Lane?
It's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium now.
No, that's pathetic.
Well, everyone seems to think that Tottenham can now win the league because they've got a manager who's all right and a 33-year-old Ivan Perisic. Let's have a look.
Seriously consider that Tottenham can be in a position where they only just finished 4th just a couple of months ago, and to say you're actually going to go and win the Premier League, let alone even finish ahead of, champions of the world, Chelsea Football Club, I think it's so incredibly bold before a ball is even kicked. And I honestly do believe, and I hope this doesn't bite me, and I don't think it will, so I'll say it, Tottenham Hotspur are not going to win the Premier League in the 22-23 season. And I would also be very surprised if they even finished ahead of a Chelsea team who have currently signed 0 players and have lost not only half of our team, our owner, and our backroom staff. So watch the space. Give it another 10 months. Chelsea will still be in the Champions League and ahead of Tottenham Hotspur, and Spurs will still have 0.
So, big thanks to BetVictor and Last Fan Standing. Go and get involved in the comments in the chat there. Let them know you've come from Stretford Paddock. Let them know whether you agree, disagree. Get involved in the chat because it's quite an interesting one there. A little bit strange that sort of, I get it with the positivity around Spurs. Even Basuma, even Perisic. They've been linked, I think, with Spence. You've got a full pre-season, under Antonio Conte. They've just finished fourth in the Champions League. There's a bit of positivity there, a bit of, excitement. Mm-hmm. Title winners. Me and you were chatting. Last time they won a title, I think, was when they did the double, and they were the first team to do the double that time. Was it 61? Yeah. It was the last time they won the title.
I understand that Conte's a good manager. He won the league with Chelsea when maybe they weren't the best team in the league. But there's a difference between doing that with a team that had won the league, I think, 5 times in the last 12 years.
When you've got, was it Costa up front?
Yeah, and he still had the sort of the remnants of a team that
players like that.
Yeah, was it the remnants of the team that just won it with Jose, or was it the other way around? No, Conte won it most recently, didn't he? But that doesn't mean you can take Tottenham, who, let's not forget, 6 months ago, the manager had lost, I think, 4 games in a row or 5 games in a row, and said, "I'm not sure I can do this job. I don't stand for this kind of performance. If this carries on, I'm going to leave." And now, all of a sudden, in 6 months, we think this is the season where they're going to win the whole thing against a City team that haven't dipped below 80 points or 85 points in about 7 years or 6 years, and a Liverpool team that, when they get their act together, get 90 plus. I don't see how Tottenham are going to break into that cycle. I just think it's ridiculous people saying that Tottenham win the league. I agree with what your man was saying on that video on Last Man Standing. I agree with what you're saying. I think Tottenham, I feel pretty... excuse me. Burpee.
Windy pops. I would feel pretty confident if I was a Tottenham fan of making top 4. Yeah. I think with the full pre-season, with Conte, with the players they've already got in the likes of Kane and Son, a couple of decent additions. I think Bissouma has obviously just had that court case that was hanging over his head. Mm-hmm. It's been cleared of. They've got Perisic in, he's a good squad player, good addition to them. I think they're stronger now than they were at the back end of last season. So I feel pretty confident. But in terms of league titles, forget it. And to be fair, I don't think there's that many, from what I've seen anyway, Spurs fans who actually think that. No. Jason Kane of Super Chat says, watching you guys live from a plane from Seattle to Milwaukee. Thanks for always bringing us great content. Think Lisandro could be the answer at DM. Should we talk about Lisandro Martinez?
Yeah. Airplane Wi-Fi, that's pretty impressive stuff, actually.
Can we get rid of red rum in the chat? Keeps popping up. That keeps popping up. Yeah, it is Wi-Fi on the plane. I don't know. Is that a thing? I don't know. Yeah. I just thought you'd turn your phone off when you got a plane. I don't like a plane that often.
No.
So
clearly.
When I
to be fair, I've only been on one plane that you can have Wi-Fi on.
Really? Yeah. It's marvellous, isn't it, man? You can not even have just like a few hours, just do you know what I mean? Just to chill without having to.
Always got a answer.
Do you know what I mean? Saying that though, we're helping my man out there. He's watching us, so he's benefiting from his Wi-Fi. Lisandro Martinez, amazingly, he's from Ajax. Yeah. You can see here United have asked to be kept informed about Martinez. United reportedly asked Ajax to be kept informed of any developments regarding the future of Lisandro Martinez after Arsenal upped their offer for the highly rated versatile defender. The Red Devils are prepared to rival the Gunners, whose opening bid of 25 million was rejected. That's come from the Express and James Robson.
Sort of multiple reports on this. So depending on who you believe, some people are saying that United have made a bid in and around the €40 million mark. Other people saying that United are willing to make a bid in around the €40 million mark. The reports last night were United have basically, now they've got the De Jong fee sorted, even though the structure and stuff might be a bit, up for debate still, the sort of basic fee, €65 million, rising up to 85 million, seems to be kind of set. Now we know what the fee is, now we can start buying other players because we've got X amount to spend, we've got this fee sorted, we've got this, Malacia coming in for 15 million, now we can spend the rest of it. And the reports last night were that we were going to be going in big for Martinez. Now there's been other reports today that, because Arsenal already wanted him, that they've made another bid up closer to €40 million. It seems like it's basically a tug of war between us and Arsenal for him. He's a centre-back, for those who don't know, centre-back, I think he's 5'9", which is, that is very small for a centre back, isn't it? It's not just like, 6 foot's quite small for a centre back these days. 5'9" is very, very small for a centre back. Brilliant on the ball, can play in defensive midfield, excellent kind of modern, quick ball playing centre back. Very good player, obviously. Ten Hag knows him well, but it just depends whether he would suit the Premier League and suit Man United, because, like I said, I know that, and I've been wanting to ask this. Get in the comments. Let me know when the last time a successful centre-back under 5'10" played in the Premier League. Because people always mention Cannavaro. I think he was still 5'10" or 5'9", somewhere in that region, but he didn't play in the Premier League. And this was 20 years ago when he was at his peak, or nearly 20 years. So let me know just any examples of any top-class Premier League centre-backs that have been 5'10" or below. That's my first thing, because I've never actually spoke about him in a live before. We can ask people.
Would you class Daley Blind as a good centre-back in the Premier League?
I wouldn't call him a top centre-back in the Premier League. And even, I think he's 5'10" or 5'11".
I don't know, I think he's shorter.
Is he?
I'm 5'11", he's shorter than me.
Is he? Again, Daley Blind, Mascherano maybe. But the thing is, he wasn't a centre-back in the Premier League.
No,
when he played at Barca, he became a centre-back. He was a defensive midfielder in the Premier League at Liverpool. Again, I know it seems very basic, but being under 6 foot as a centre-back just is a big hindrance, especially in the Premier League, where it is more physical, it is a bit sort of quicker, it still relies on aerial balls a bit more than other leagues. It would be difficult. As Pilaqueta, people talk about, I don't think he's actually that as short as he seems. He's not 5'9", is he? Anyway,
no,
it's very few and far between. I don't think Azpilicueta is that short.
I think we're struggling there a little bit to find one. But I mean, it would make more sense then if he was a DM.
Yeah.
You could see him and De Jong playing together as a DM, as a sort of double pivot, as the kids like to say. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. I mean, you got to trust Ten Hag. If he wants him, I'm sure Ten Hag is fully aware of the pace and the power and the height of the Premier League attackers. Yeah. I'm sure he knows this kid inside out. So if he wants to bring him in, then you trust him for it. Whether that happens, we'll have to wait and see. Sorry, go on.
Do you mind this whole sort of? It's almost like we were trying to do that same thing we did with Feyenoord, where we waited to see what Arsenal have bid, and then beat it by a couple €1 million. That was the reports, that they'd bid 35. We were like, would 40 do it? And then Ajax were kind of like, maybe, yeah. Do you mind this as a new tactic? Or is it going to, I don't think Feyenoord are probably particularly happy with Man United right now. I don't think Arsenal, I know we don't do too many transfers between us and Arsenal, but it is an avenue that's been, sort of explored in the past. Do you think this sort of more aggressive transfer market strategy could hinder our relationships going forward?
Possibly. I mean, it's sort of a bit old school, isn't it, when clubs were going in for players. You'd have one of them had fired the first shots in terms of the transfer bid. So it's not like it hasn't been done before. It's just not, you don't see it as often more recently. It's certainly not with Manchester United anyway. No. But I mean, this kind of thing's been going on for a little while. You remember there was the thing with John Obi Mikel. He signed for us and then went to Chelsea. He said he made a mistake. Yeah. You look at Willian, I think was done deal for Spurs. Yeah. You look at Robin.
Aaron Ramsey was a done deal for United.
Aaron Ramsey was done deal for United, and Arsenal, because they said, we'll loan you back to Cardiff, whatever. Robin at United was almost done. Yeah. That was practically done before.
It seemed like at one point, not quite to the same degree, but Bale to United before he went to Tottenham was very close, wasn't it?
I think that with that one, Fergie, and he did this a couple of times, Fergie was respectful of Southampton and waited, and Spurs didn't. Yeah, they spoke to him straight away and spoke to the club and made that happen. I mean, it's sort of, it is new for United, but it's been done in the past. Then I don't mind it at all. I think if it gets the players that we want, then fair enough. I understand what you're saying. If it could be a bit ropey, and clubs may get turned off by it. But ultimately, Ajax are going to take the most money, and if that's Manchester United, and he wants to come, which you imagine he would want to come, then that'll be happy days. Sheikh Sabahuddin in the chat says, love from India, don't have a problem Eric Ten Hag getting players from Ned in Arriva Divisa. Remember Wenger, who brought players from France, who were also disregarded, unsuited for Premier League. Apparently he was revolutionary. Yeah, I remember when he got Nicolas Anelka and Emmanuel Petit and those types of players. Vieira came from Milan as well, I think the name was it Milan he came from. In AC Milan, was he in reserves or something? Yeah. And Henry as well, he was having a bit of a time at Juve, wasn't he? As a winger, Perez. There were these players that he sort of, people going, really?
Gallas. Yeah, it was, and things do change, and different leagues and different sort of avenues do get kind of mined more often than others as time goes on.
That's a great one from Elizabeth Tudor. Says, remember when we stole Roy Keane from under Blackburn's nose? We did. He went to sign for Blackburn, apparently, and he said there was no one there. He got to the ground, there was no one there to meet him, so he went home and Fergie rang.
That's genuinely one of the stupidest things any football club's ever done, isn't it? Because that could be the difference between Blackburn winning 1 title and winning 5.
Yep.
Like, they could have just, maybe not 5, 3.
Yeah.
They could have done what Arsenal did.
Yeah.
They could have, like, carried on into the late 90s.
Well, he was, 21, 22?
Yeah.
One of the best midfielders ever in the Premier League. You've already got Shearer there. I mean...
Sutton.
Yeah. Ripley. It would have been difficult for United to sort of have the run that we had without Keane and also with Blackburn having him. Who should we go on to next? Should we talk about Tyrell Malacia? Is he next on the list?
Yes.
As you can see here...
Since we last spoke, this is gone from being United have sort of gazumped Feyenoord, all of a sudden he's agreed to it over the night, he's up for it, this is basically happening, it's just a matter of time. Exciting, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I've been watching videos of him and clips of him, looking at his stats, so I'm now an expert.
Yeah, you're as much of an expert as anyone else in
Europe. Yeah. I mean, he looks like England, a very good, exciting, young, attacking fullback. Yeah. Me and you've spoken on this channel countless times about the issues we had at fullback. I think our fullbacks last season were collectively poor.
Pants.
Yeah, and I'm being kind.
Yeah.
I think all of them were flawed. I thought Wan-Bissaka's fallen off a cliff. Luke Shaw was terrible. Telles started off okay, and then he was just shambolic really towards the end. Diogo Dalot, who I quite like, he was just not good enough. I think it would be the polite way of putting it. I don't think he was helped sometimes by the players he had in front of him, but he just wasn't good enough. This kid here looks like he could sort of come in, either motivate those around him, whether that's Luke Shaw or whatever, say, okay, you've got to up your game, or replace him. I mean, either way, he's a good option from what I see. And at 15 million euros, I think this is, spread out as well. It's not too, it's not too difficult to see why United are attracted to this one, because even if it didn't work out and you were to sell him in a year's time for 8 million euros or whatever, you've hardly took a massive hit on him, have you?
No. Yeah, it just seems to make a lot of sense. And if you're someone that Ten Hag knows, then do it. Like, why, and we haven't waited about it. That's the good thing. We've got him in before. Again, it's not fully signed off yet, but everything seems to be in place for this to be done. We've got him before the transfer window, before the pre-season started, so he'll be there when everyone else rejoins. Like I said, he seems to be defensively very solid, and a lot of his attacking stats are very good as well.
Yeah, someone in the chat saying he's not an attacking fullback. His attacking stats are good.
Yeah, they are. He takes a lot of shots. He gets the ball in the box more than most fullbacks. His dribbles and stuff are higher than most fullbacks. So he's not like someone that's only attacking. He's not like Trent Alexander-Arnold because he's brilliant defensively, apparently. But he does get forward much better than someone like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, for instance.
Yeah, that's a big bugbear with Wan-Bissaka. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, with Wan-Bissaka's defending wasn't great last season, but attacking-wise, he's always been sort of criticised for it, and you can understand why. This kid, like you say, he was in the top sort of 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever for most of the stats we were looking at earlier. So defensively and attacking-wise, something that looks very positive. Like I said, I don't know a lot about him. I've seen clips, I've seen some stats. We'll see when he gets sold Trafford, but at that price, it's worth taking a punt on. John Garcia says, what's all this hype around about Martinez? Bang average at best. We might as well keep Bailly. Alvarez plays centre-back at CDM, world-class destroyer, so he's not feeling it. Fazil Malik says, we need Koulibaly. At one point, I thought that was going to happen, but I don't think that's going to happen anymore. Alex Bailey says, Nathan Collins ain't United level. We've seen this Nathan Collins thing.
I've seen mentions of it.
Yeah, this is the kid from Burnley, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to say kid, I don't know how old he is. This is a centre-back, I think, from Burnley. There's talk of him coming to United for 30 million, so reporting it. Forgive me, I can't remember where I saw it. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know where it came from and how reliable this story is. I mean, it does seem a little bit like just paper talk, really. I'd be very surprised. Anish Joshi in the chats, been a member of the Academy for 24 months. Thanks for your support. Says, are you guys worried about all these Dutch players adjusting to the Premier League as we have seen in the past? A little bit. I'm not overly concerned. Do hit that subscribe button as well. Don't forget, there's a subscribe in the chat. Hit that link to subscribe. Are you worried about this? Because just from a United point of view, yes, we've had the Ruud van Nistelrooys and the Robin van Persie via Arsenal, of course, of this world, and the Arnold Murans.
The Butners.
Yes, the Butlers, but we've also had the Memphis Depays. Daley Blind did okay. You know,
I'll be honest.
Jordi Cruyff.
I'm someone that I always said with Daley Blind that if we were the type of team that built around a player like him, he could be a real top player. Or if he'd played his whole career through at Barcelona, he could be a top player, that his passing, his range, all this stuff. I think he's getting to the point where we are remembering him with rose-tinted glasses a little bit. I think because he had a classiness to him, because he could play the ball, because he had excellent vision and a left foot and, you know, all of these things, I think we're forgetting a little bit that he used to get bodied by tall, quick strikers. He did. He used to get pushed around in the box. He did. He used to get skinned. He wasn't quick enough. Like, I think he was a very good player that wasn't utilised properly at United. And I think, fair enough, you can make the argument that we could have got more out of him, or that, you know, playing the right system, he could have been excellent. But I think the way I hear about Daley Blind now is like he was a world-class player that we accidentally let go. Like, he went back to Ajax, has been a lot better than he was for United at Ajax, and now people are going, oh, Daley Blind was brilliant for Man United, why did we ever let him leave? Well, he wasn't as good as Chris Smalling when Louis van Gaal was there. Like, I really like Daley Blind, and I keep saying it, but I think we're entering sort of, this isn't the player that actually played for Man United territory in terms of the way his reputation is talked about these days.
No, I agree. There is a little
social media loves him.
Little bit of rose tinted glasses there. I completely agree. They do, and he was decent for United. He had a good little spell, but he wasn't like he was, you know, amazing. And I think people now go, oh, we never should have got rid of him and all this other stuff and blah blah blah. You just scroll down on them couple of super chats there and I'll read them out. Sam, Robert Shaw and Ashwin, Mohan, thanks for your super chats. Sorry, what else is there? Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can be too sort of, we've had all these players, or these players haven't quite worked out from Holland, we shouldn't get any more from Holland. Yeah. I think that's almost like, you know, a Brexiteer type attitude because, you know, Ruud van Nistelrooy is probably the best striker I've ever seen. Yeah. You know,
couldn't be more Dutch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Does that mean?
Ever heard of him?
Yeah. Does that mean that all, you know, Dutch strikers and Dutch goalkeepers are the best ever? Yeah. Edwin van der Star's the best goalkeeper I've seen at United. I know people say Peter Schmeichel, but they're wrong. So you can't just judge it off that. I think you have to trust the manager. And if the manager has looked at these players and gone, these players are good enough, I want to bring these players over to the English League. A player like Tyrell Malacia, who will have seen at Feyenoord, there's a clip of doing the rounds, of him saying, watching Malacia Feyenoord against Ajax, saying, make a note of him. Yeah. Obviously, the likes of Lisandro Martinez and Antony will have worked in, week out with. So you've got to trust him. I mean, he's not even had a game yet. If he wants to bring in these players, then I'm going to back him.
There is no league that every single player you sign from that league is brilliant in the Premier League, and that every single player you sign from that league is awful in the Premier League. Even the Bundesliga that gets a lot of stick, like a lot of big transfers from there to the Premier League haven't really worked out. Well, Kevin De Bruyne worked out. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's always, you know, Owen Hargreaves worked out. Yeah. Like, there's plenty of ones that did work out from every single league. I mean, again, I know he wasn't a top player, but Mertesacker went on to be sort of club captain at Arsenal. I think you'd say that worked out. Like, it happens. It happens all the time. So if he's the right player, it doesn't matter what league he's from. Obviously, some leagues seem to have a more sort of comparable style that makes it easier to adapt from, but there's plenty of bad players from Portugal, good players from France, bad players from... You know what I mean? Any league is good and bad.
Indy Parlar says, did Hargreaves work out? Yes.
Yeah, he was... Not necessarily our best, but one of our most important midfielders, I would say. Maybe the most important midfielder when we won the Champions League.
I mean, we won a league and a Champions League in the one full season he played. Yeah. Cost 20-odd million. Would you pay 20 million quid now, or 20 million quid now, to do the double, the big double? Of course you would.
And in terms of his performances, it was only his physicality, his body that let him down.
If you went back in time, would you sign Hargreaves again? 100%. You don't beat Barcelona over those two legs without Owen Hargreaves. No. You don't win that title over Chelsea without Owen Hargreaves. You don't win the Champions League without Owen Hargreaves. No. He was fantastic in that competition that season, and it was a crying shame it was that one season we had out of him, because I think if we'd have kept him fit, or if his knees had have stood up the test of time, I think we could have won another Champions League. And that might sound crazy because it's only Owen Hargreaves, and everyone's like, really, he's not that good. But we missed him in those games in 2009 against Barcelona in the final. Someone like Owen Hargreaves in that midfield, you know, could have given us a little bit of an edge. I'm not saying, oh, that's enough, we would have beat Barcelona, but it'd give us a chance, a fighting chance, which is what we didn't really have. So, yeah, I do think Owen Hargreaves worked out.
Like I said, it's certainly a signing you would do again. Yeah. Without question. Like
100%.
So I would call that a success.
Yeah, Lee Welch says Owen Hargreaves was class until his knee popped and his head wobbled.
Yeah.
I mean, he spoiled it by going City and playing 4 games for them, didn't he? You know what I mean? I don't know what that was about. But anyway, we digress. Should we talk about who's next on the list? Tellez and Williams.
Let's see so there's been reports by Paul Hurst in the Telegraph that both of these could be leaving as a result of Malacia coming in.
Makes sense.
Shaw's still sort of number one. Malacia looking to kind of take that mantle off him as the years go by. Tellez makes sense to me. But it seemed like Brandon Williams was maybe sort of eyeing up a chance back at Man United. He seems like everything he says is he wants to get back to Man United. He was doing interviews whilst at Norwich saying, I'm a Man United player, mind me to get back in the Man United squad. Are you a bit surprised that they're sort of looking to move him on already without even seeing him properly?
The thing with, a little bit. I feel a little bit sorry for Brandon Williams because he was almost a victim of his own success in the sense that no one thought he was coming into the team when he was 18, 19. I think 19, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No one thought he's not getting into the team, and he did. Because Shaw wasn't playing very well. Williams impressed. Ollie gave him a chance.
Ethan Laird was injured.
So Williams ends up playing about 25 games or whatever it was, doing well, and then his form dips a little bit for whatever reason, and people go, oh, that's it now. He's not up to scratch. He's this, that, and the other. Goes to Norwich. I think I'm. Forgive me if I'm wrong in this. But get involved in the chat. I think he came third in their Player of the Year voting.
He certainly got their Player of the Month in January.
Right, I'm pretty sure he came third behind. Is it Grant Hanley or what? Not Grant Hanley. Pookie and Hanley, is it? I mean, I might be just well off the mark here, but I'm pretty sure that was who it was. And then it was Brandon Williams. So yes, they got relegated. It wasn't a successful season for the team, but he played quite well in a struggling team. So it's not like he's had a bad loan spell.
No,
I think he's actually done himself a bit of justice there. Comes back, you think, okay, now what? 21-year-old, maybe he can start putting a claim back in, especially with Tellez on the way out. If Malacia comes in, you're not going to need 3 left-backs, are you?
No.
Luke Shaw's not going anywhere, Malacia. So it doesn't surprise me that Williams is being looked at as being moved on. Bit disappointed, especially considering he can play on the right-hand side as well. You think he's a good player. I like Williams. He's the type of player you can get behind, flies into tackles, flies into challenges, obviously loves the club. There you go, I've just had an update. Yes, Pookie first, Grant Hanley second. Brandon Williams.
Some good knowledge, that, Jay.
Thank you, my friend. Bryce Jones in the super chat says, Joe, I swear I'll pay my debts. Don't break my legs, please. You do have a little bit of an enforcer look to you. Sam Robert Shaw says, Brandon Williams could have huge potential as a right back. Can't understand why people keep using him as a left back. I think he suits Ten Hag at right back. He used to play at left back though. Him and Ethan Laird used to swap over for the under 23, the under 18s, the academy. So you'd have one on the right, one on the left, and he'd just switch over. And he did a very good job at left back for a spell. But yeah, he is right-footed, so who knows? Adam Hutchinson says, easy 15 mil, get Williams sold.
Yeah.
Maybe. Where do you stand on Tellez? Because it seems like he's gone from being almost like a fan favourite.
Yeah.
With a small section, like a sort of that, that Martial FC type.
Yeah.
Ooh, Tellez, love him. To everyone saying, just get rid.
Dead ball specialist.
Yeah, and I think I've used those exact words when describing him.
I think, and I don't mean this to be a particular dig at Tellez, but I think as United fans, we got to the point last season where if a player tried hard, they almost were deserving of the shirt just because no one else was trying hard. And what we have to remember is not just United fans, but any football fans, but especially United fans, where I don't mean that as like we have a right to world-class players, but we're a top 6 team. Most seasons we're a top 4 team. Trying hard shouldn't be, oh, you've tried hard, so you're in the first team. Trying hard is the minimum requirement. Like, Roy Keane didn't just try hard. He tried as hard as he possibly could every game, and he had world-class talent, and he was brilliant. Like, Paul Scholes didn't just try hard every game. He was one of the best passers I've ever seen. His positioning was perfect. Like, top players don't just try hard. And I think Tellez is a good example of that because he tries hard every game. He always puts 100% effort in. He's not someone that I consider lazy or like he can't be arsed. He works really hard. He's industrious, all that stuff. He's just not good enough. And I think we got to the point as United fans where we were literally like, just give us 11 players that try hard. That'll be better than what we've got now. Well, it's not. I try hard.
Yeah.
You see players play for Man United who, yes, they try hard, but that doesn't mean that you're good enough to play for United. And I like him. He seems like a decent guy. He doesn't do a lot of interviews. He's not someone that we know particularly personality-wise, but he seems fine. He's just not good enough for Man United. And just because he's tried hard, that doesn't change that, unfortunately. So United need to get back to having players that not just do they try hard, but they're actually top quality as well, because that's what the best teams have. It's not just one or the other. You need both, and unfortunately for him, he isn't both.
No, it isn't. It's a shame because he's one of those players that you can warm to quite easily. You know, when you see him pinging in across and, you know, pinpoint accurate one, or I don't know, free kick wise, he has scored a free kick. Has he scored a free kick?
He scored that
volley against Villarreal, was it, in the Champions League? It wasn't a free kick, it was like from a corner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember at that game, he was getting torn apart.
Yeah.
Like, what, you get him off, it's embarrassing, and then he scores that goal. We've got 4,000 watching, only 500 likes. Let's
Come on!
To 2,000 likes. Come on, hit that like button. Come on, Manchester United, we're back in business. Hit that like button with Stretford, Paddock. And don't forget as well to subscribe to the channel. Right, we've spoken about Malacia. We've spoken about Antony. We've spoken about Lisandro Martinez. Who have we not spoken about? And who we were constantly speaking about for about a month?
Frenkie de Jong, mate.
Frenkie de Jong. Hey, Frenkie de Jong, there he is. The beautiful, beautiful man. It says here, Frenkie de Jong is open to joining Manchester United from Barcelona. De Jong has previously stated contentment at the Catalan club and his thoughts have been unsure regarding United's lack of Champions League football. Yet the Guardian understands, I think this is Jamie Jackson, the 25-year-old is now minded to sign for United and rejoin Ten Hag after working under the Dutchman at Ajax. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. Should we get Jamie on?
That'd be great, yeah. Get
Shall we?
Jackson,
He's a good friend of the channel. We'll try and get him on this week. Thinking about it, I'll give him a bell after this. Try and get him on. What I like about the guy in Jamie, and we've had him on a few times. They say it as it is. He's not just throwing darts in the air and hoping there's something to land. So it makes sense because we know De Jong wanted to sort of always giving out noises, wanted to stay. We spoke to Semra Hunter from Liga TV. She was saying that whilst he'd done okay at Barcelona, there was a feeling that they were almost willing to let him go. Well, they were willing to let him go because obviously that's where he's going. Because he'd been decent rather than amazing.
Yeah.
He's not quite feeling the love there. It is a big club, I get it, but he's coming back to a manager who knows him. United obviously want him. Yeah. And there's talk of us sort of building our team around him. I know we haven't got Champions League football, but he's got to be feeling a bit special, the way that United are sort of making all these moves for him.
Yeah, and also, what may be not quite what they thought he would be for Barca isn't necessarily not quite what we thought it'd be for Man United. Man United has exactly 0 players like Frenkie de Jong. We don't have anyone that can pick the ball up off the defence, turn, and then move it forward, whether that by taking out himself, by dribbling or passing it. We haven't got anyone that can do that. Fred can't do it because as soon as he gets pressed, his legs stop working. Scott McTominay can't do it because he doesn't get himself in good positions to receive the ball. He's always behind a player, or his position isn't great. Paul Pogba could do it a little bit, but he took too long on the ball. He likes to allow players to come to him, push him out of the way, and then make a pass. And against top teams like Atletico Madrid away, he just got destroyed because he wants to take too long on the ball. Bruno can do it, but again, he's playing further up the pitch. Frenkie de Jong is the only player at Manchester United, assuming we signed him, that can do that. Barca have got 3 or 4 players that can do that. So, they've got Pedri, they've got Busquets, they've got, I think Gavi as well is very good at doing that. Like, they've got people who can do a lot of the things he can. We haven't.
No.
So it's not necessarily the case that, he wasn't good enough for Barca, or he wasn't the world-class player they thought, therefore he won't be good enough for United. He's been given a job that only he is capable of. And therefore, he is worth 75 million euros to us, where he might not be worth that to Barcelona.
Do you know what it reminds me of a little bit? And I shouldn't even mention his name because he's like persona non grata at United.
Herrera?
No. But do you remember when Alexis Sanchez was at Barca?
Yes.
He was okay.
Yeah.
He wasn't the player they thought.
No.
He didn't set the world alight.
Yeah.
They didn't have the amazing spell, and I know they had the success, but it wasn't like Alexis Sanchez. He's just he's took us to a new level, or he's the player that all the fans can get behind, all the fans love. He's such a talent. It was like he did all right. If you look at his stats and his numbers, and his performances, he was decent, but he probably wasn't at the level that they were hoping for. No. Hence the reason he went to Arsenal. Yeah. He went to Arsenal and he smashed it. Yeah. It was only when he came to United he was terrible. He absolutely smashed it at Arsenal because all of a sudden you've got a player who was all right at Barcelona, was still relatively young. I know he wasn't a kid, but he was like mid-20s. Came to the Premier League and had something to offer, and had a team that, for a certain time anyway, he was the focal point. Yeah. He loved it until obviously it all went south. So it's like you say, they've got other options as Barcelona did back in the day. There, he's a quality player who gives us something we haven't got, and just because Barcelona, it's not quite worked out the way he'd have hoped or they'd have hoped, doesn't mean he's not a good player. We're not hearing things like disastrous spell at Barca or waste of money or shambolic or anything like that. It's like he's done okay. Probably wanted a little bit more from him, but he's done all right.
Yeah, and they need money, and they've already got players who came through the academy that can do a lot of what he can.
Yeah.
So, what do we take? What do we keep? A £75 million asset, or keep or get the money for him and use these players that are close to being as good as him, if not as effective as him? Barcelona, it just makes sense to sell him. Doesn't mean he's crap.
I'm just relieved, that no one else was in for him.
Yeah.
A bit surprised.
Yeah, me too.
I thought, I don't know a lot about him, I'm not going to pretend I do, but I know the quality's there, and I thought there'd be, one or two other teams looking around him. You look at City going for Calvin Phillips, he's a different type of player, but, there's a market for midfielders, and you think someone could have come in for him, someone could have looked at him.
You look at the top teams. Liverpool don't really use a player like him, and if they did, they've got Thiago. Like, he's not quite the same as Thiago.
I know what you mean.
He don't bring the ball forward the same, but Liverpool have got Thiago. City have got De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, who might go, but again, they've got him. They've got Gundogan, who again might go, but they've got him. They've got Grealish, they've got Foden, who can do not all of what he does, but enough so that they don't need to focus on someone like him. Even Chelsea, they've got Jorginho, who can do a lot of what he does. Kovacic, who again isn't quite the same player, but is better on the ball than a lot of the players United have got. United haven't got anyone like him. We haven't got anyone with the now Matic is gone as well. Matic and Pogba had a decent passing range. Pogba had a brilliant passing range. Matic's was decent. No one can pass. We need someone that can pass the ball. Like, everyone else has got that, unfortunately. So United are desperate for someone like him, and I'm glad that it looks like it's going to happen. And again, the fact that he's happy to come here, it was always going to happen, wasn't it? He was never going to sign for United. First interview going, I'll be honest, I hate it.
The thing is,
that was never going to happen.
People have to remember as well what gets said publicly and in interviews. If you're speaking, right, you're at Barcelona and you're getting asked about being at Barcelona, and you're a Barcelona player, you better sing Barcelona's praises.
Of course.
Because those fans will crucify you. And I think he said one comment when he was away with Holland, like, this is suited better to me, this system. And he got hammered for that by certain sections of the Catalan media, because it was seen as a slight on Xavi or on Barcelona or whatever, when he wasn't. He was just saying, like, why he was, doing well at Holland, and this is a system, he sort of suits the way I play. So you're not going to say, oh yeah, well, I've had enough here, unless you want to just get, your house petrol bombed or something. Yeah. And it's the same, it works both ways though, doesn't it? Because I remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I'll go back to Alexis Sanchez, funnily enough, when Sanchez was on loan at Inter Milan, and all he's saying, yeah, he's still a United player, and we'll be happy to have him back one day.
Yeah.
Or whatever, words to that effect. So people go, what, we're getting Sanchez back now? Well, why? No. He's not going to say he's rubbish, they can keep him, I never want to see him again. Because he's someone he wants to at least sell.
Yeah.
So he's going to talk him up, and obviously he's still a Manchester United player.
And also, let's imagine we couldn't get a buyer for Sanchez.
Yeah.
Then you've got a player in the squad who has been publicly admonished by his own manager. That doesn't end very well, does it, really, when you've got, remember Jose talking about players whilst he was still at the club saying how shit they were.
Remember the pre-season?
On him.
The pre-season, where this is the way you get camaraderie and positivity among young players. Tell them all that you're stuck with him in pre-season and it's a joke because none of them are any good.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is,
you can't do that.
No.
So when a player's still at a club, they say that club is the best club in the world. When a manager is asked about a player that's still at the club, they say that player has still got a place in my squad. You just have to. It's an unwritten rule.
It's interesting. I know, for most of us, and I'm kind of the same opinion myself, you'd rather stick pins in your eyes than watch a Pep Guardiola interview. But there was one I saw on Twitter. I saw about a minute of it earlier today. And he said his most difficult thing as a manager isn't the tactics and or signing players, whatever. It's keeping the players, managing the players that don't play as often. Is having to look after them and make sure they're all right. And that sort of ties into it. Sorry, go on.
Just on that quickly before we talk about that, I think Ole was potentially, like, maybe not world class, but I think Ole was brilliant at that. I think his tactics weren't modern enough. I think he lacked in some of the sort of tactical density that, like, the real top managers have now, where everything is planned to the inch in terms of positioning and passing and sequences and all that. I think Ole was slightly lacking in that department tactically. Yeah, I'll admit that. In terms of I am a manager, I manage people, the way a manager at B&Q manages people and the way a manager at Carphone Warehouse does, where you're looking after egos, people's confidence, people's happiness, the harmony of a dressing room. Ollie was brilliant at that, and I think that is what carried United's team to third and second, because the raw talent mixed with the fact that they're all happy, rotates well, he seems to respect people, address people properly. That was, I think, his best quality, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, Pep saying that that's the hardest thing. Obviously, you can say that when you're a master tactician, but it is difficult, and that's something that I think Rangnick maybe doesn't have.
No,
he's got the tactics, but he ain't got the bedside manner.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. Certainly not United. But Fergie said it. You see the Class of '92 documentary when they were talking about how Fergie used to say to guys, he said, Gary Neville, 3 weeks' time we've got a game against Leeds or whatever.
Yeah.
I need you for that game. I need you. Don't worry about anything else. You get rested. You train for that game. And he'd be like, yeah, that game. And then you think, hang on a minute, have I just been dropped?
Yeah, I'm missing 5 games in a row here.
Or have I been saved for this special game?
Yeah.
He was very good at making you feel like you were, the most important person to him, even if you weren't playing. Do you know what I mean? And they were all like there was Giggs and Scholes and Neville sort of sharing stories of how Fergie managed them and how when they were dropped, they didn't feel like they'd been dropped. It's like, you've been rested, I've got a big game coming up that I need you for, or
your mission, should you choose to accept it,
is
we're playing Burnley in 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's the one I need you. That's important.
Someone like Park Ji-sung's a good example of that, where he didn't play every week, but sometimes he would be given the biggest job.
Barcelona in the semis in 2008.
Yeah, it's literally like, you might not play against Blackburn, Wigan, Tottenham, whatever, Wolves, whatever, but you're playing in the Champions League semi-final, and if you don't do your job right, we're out.
Yeah.
And yet somehow he managed, more often than not, to get these players mentally in the right state where they could do that job properly. It's so hard to do that. And again, people forget that being a manager is about managing. And it's so, and that's an underrated side. I think people are so obsessed with tactics and stats in the sort of, post-social media era. You forget that up until about 1990, it was stop your players being alcoholics, make sure they don't fight in training, and you'll probably win a league title. That's what people like. Brian Clough, pretty much all he was doing was the man management stuff.
To be fair,
go out and enjoy
everything
yourself.
you've just said there, Arsenal failed at all that and still won titles.
That's what I mean.
They were alcoholics and they were fighting with each other.
Yeah.
And they still won 2 league titles under George Graham.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but you're right though. I get what you mean. Kyle Chesters, who's been a member of the Academy for 10 months, says, you two are the best crime fighting duo on YouTube. Also, Williams, McTominay and Fred are the epitome of the squad players we need, not starting 11. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? It's going to be interesting to see how Erik ten Hag moves players that were first team players into the squad, into squad team players. Chad Washington says, what's the deal with Mason Greenwood? Is he back? As far as I know, his court case has been sort of postponed or adjourned or whatever, but he's still on bail, shall I say. So there's no update there when it comes to Mason Greenwood, but as and when there is, we'll give you one. At the minute though, as it's a pending case, we'll just have to wait and see rather than comment on it. Sam Robert Shaw says, I think our midfield with Frenkie de Jong as the base of midfield, with Donny and Bruno ahead of him, with Scott, Fred, Jimmy and Hannibal as the other options there. Jimmy Garner and Hannibal Medjbury, who may feature this season. We'll have to wait and see though, because especially with Hannibal, he's very raw. Yeah. Very raw, very young, very raw, very talented. James Garner, 2 seasons in the Championship. The last 18 months of those 2 seasons have been fantastic. Yeah. We'll have to wait and see though whether your mate Erik ten Hag wants to give him a chance as well, because we did a video on it, didn't we? There was talk of him going back to Forest. I think that's not happening now because Dean Henderson's going there on loan. Well, maybe James Garner gets a squad place this season, plays 15, 20 games in the squad.
Yeah,
possibly.
I hope he's good enough. I hope he is good enough. It's a massive jump from the Championship to the Premier League. I watched Barry Bannon tear up the Championship year after year for Sheffield Wednesday. Well, but he's not good enough to play for Man United.
How many goals do you think Mitrovic is going to get for?
Yeah, exactly. It might be more than last time when he was with Newcastle, but I can tell you now it won't be 46 again. So yeah, it's a very different league. So hopefully it can be good enough. But let's try and get some players that we know are good enough as well.
Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button if you're not doing already. I think that's your lot, to be honest with you.
It is.
Big thanks to BetVictor and Last Man Standing. Go and check out their video. Don't forget to say that Stretford Paddock sent you as well. Joe, where can people find you?
Check me out on the Sloppy Joe's podcast. You, the special guest this week, special producer Jay Motti. Check out the Sloppy Joe's podcast. Just type Sloppy Joe's podcast. We're having a laugh. talking all sorts of crud, aren't we? It's good
No,
stuff.
it's a good laugh, a good giggle, and a good response. Well, you got lovely viewers.
Very nice,
on
a lot of
Sloppy Joe.
viewers.
Sloppy Joes. Well, just like we've got lovely viewers. And thanks to all you guys who got involved tonight. It's great to see the support that the channel's had. Don't forget as well, we're going to be going on pre-season. We're going to Thailand. We're going to Australia. We're going to Norway. And we'll be back at Old Trafford as well. We'll be covering all the pre-season games. And just because we haven't got fan cams, don't think that we're not covering them. We're not getting fan reaction and not getting fan interaction. We'll be doing all that. It's just going to look a little bit differently. So make sure you're checking all that out as well. Make sure you're checking out Sloppy Joe's. And don't forget as well to hit like, share and subscribe to this channel. That's been Joe Smith. I've been Jay Motti. Thanks for watching.